Hello and welcome to day 20 of our series
Yay!
Flip, Don't Flop, How to Remodel Your Investment Property for Maximum Profit. And today's topic is Flip, Don't Flop, Measure What Matters.
Before we hop in, we'll just remind you of our names. I'm Ashton
And I'm DC.
with REI Remodel. Hey, can you click that subscribe button and click that bell so you never miss any videos from REI Remodel? Let's jump in. DC's already ready to get going. So measure what matters.
Yes.
Okay.
So the first thing we need to do, so this is at the end of everything. We have completed the planning, the remodel, and we exited. We sold or rented the property. So
Yeah.
congratulations. Now we want to identify. We want to first identify what we've learned.
Yeah.
We ask ourselves what went well
Mhm.
and what went bad. Um, so yeah, ask yourself that what went well, what went bad. Examples for me on a property, I can say what went well. Hey, um, the items were delivered on time. We completed the remodel on time. We the contractors showed up every day, right? And we
Yeah.
can go through even the documentation, the
Mhm.
the daily updates, the progress evaluations. Those will
Mhm.
help us gather information
Yeah.
uh, for this. Of course, bad is easier to determine, right? So
Yes.
we had to kick a contractor off the job. We went over schedule by 2 weeks.
Mhm.
We went over budget by $10,000. It's easy to identify what went bad.
I will say this is so his wheelhouse as he begins to do measurements and all kinds of things like that. But it's important that you don't even skip this step. Okay, I've done, I'm moving on to the next one. I've called the contractor, we're already out there. You must take the time to look and see, as he said, identify things, because if not, those issues will be repeated. Or if they're wonderful, you want to repeat those. But if you haven't identified them, they might not be on your radar.
Absolutely, and that's the whole purpose of tracking everything
Yeah.
during it. That's the whole thing about the process. Now it's taking this process as your own and adapting it to your own environment, your own
Mm-hmm.
system, and
Mm-hmm.
then creating your own, methods of getting it all together, put
Yes.
together.
Yeah. So we've identified, talking about what we learned, what went well, what went bad. Now what?
Now we have to determine how we're going to improve the deficiencies.
Okay.
So the things that went bad, we really have to sit down
Mm-hmm.
and discuss why did that go bad.
Yeah.
We really need to dig into it. And once again, we've done a lot of the work already with the progress evaluations
Yes.
and the daily updates. We can examine those and see, okay, how far off were we from the original schedule?
Mm-hmm.
How far off were we from the original budget? We start there and then dig deeper with those forms that we filled out during the process.
Yeah, and I would even advise to try not to place blame, because if it's always just the contractor and that's why it went half, how could have you how could you have improved those situations? If you look
It's a
at
good
it
point. Good
within
point.
yourself, you're
Yes.
not going to be controlled, or the mercy of your project is at, well, the contractor, he messed that up. Okay, well, why? We were just looking at a picture in a Facebook group, and it was a badly installed tile, and they're like, what do I do? And most people were commenting, well, you should have fired him and stuff like that. Well, no, the issue is now it's their problem to deal with. How can they fix that? Is that mean they're going to rip it out and ask them to reinstall it? But you can't blame, because you won't get um you got to take ownership. I think
You
that
do.
helps you
You
do
do.
better moving
You do.
forward, to
It's
say,
it's it's our profit online. It's our return on investment. So we need to take charge,
yeah.
and it's not for them to determine what we're going to earn, what we're not going to.
Right.
It's for us to maximize that for
Most
ourselves.
definitely.
Yes, and so we definitely keep track of
Hmm.
what went well and have that set that as a base for what we will build upon your process. So
Yeah,
that's the base. What went well? Let's take that and let's improve upon that.
most definitely.
Yes. And so improving upon that leads us to the metrics, right? So metrics are establishing KPIs and OKRs, so key performance indicators and objectives and key results.
Oh,
Yeah, so we want to kind of apply those based on what went well.
yeah.
And I don't want to lose you here.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh,
I'm sure there's
careful.
people nerding out right now. There's other people with their
Yeah.
eyes rolling back in their head, but this is key. This is
Yeah.
key. I used to work for an investment firm, California and Texas, and the KPIs were how we monitored progress.
Yeah.
We can't build a process without these metrics.
And if
And oh, go ahead.
And if you want to, for the BRRR strategy, if you want to get to more and more properties or buy and hold more things that you're more, if you want to do more as an investor, at some point you're going to have to get down to the nitty gritty and duplicate or
That's it.
fix
The
or
key is
measure.
duplication.
Yeah.
That's the key here with a system and with processes in those systems. Uh,
Yikes,
I
yikes,
don't
yikes.
want to lose her.
Oh
Right?
gosh.
So
I'm trying not to yawn.
that's the key of making things duplicatable, and that's what we want to do.
Yes. And I think for that investor who just kind of does one flip a year, you're not trying to, get to 30 properties in 5 years. Yeah, maybe you could drag on this. But if and I'll speak to many people, if family legacy is something, that means you're going to need more and more properties. If you want to quit your 9 to 5 and do this full time, you're going to have to get a system. Or if you don't want the headache, you've kept your 9 to 5, but you want to be able to manage properties and remodel properties without a nightmare on your hands, you're going to need these processes and measurements.
Yeah, and a way to start implementing them is to keep it simple.
Mm-hmm.
Keep it simple at first. Your first project isn't going to be spot on.
No.
And if it is, well, great. Let's just make sure we can carry that on to
Yeah.
the 20th project.
Right.
We definitely want to apply those and improve them after each project.
Yes.
Yeah, but the key is keeping it simple.
Mm-hmm.
We start off with what went well, and then we dive deeper over time.
Mm-hmm.
But then we start implementing things like velocity.
Mm-hmm.
Velocity is the amount of the remodel cost. The remodel cost divided by the days that you were on that project. That'll give you the velocity and give you a good number to base on. Okay, this is where I should be at.
Right.
I should be spending $1,000 a day in the rehab costs to be able to reach my goal.
Yes.
And be on budget and get that maximum ROI.
I think definitely. I mean, it's sometimes a little harder for me to swallow about those types of things. But when you really want to get serious, when you've really decided to invest your time and your money to make a profit for the future for all kinds of reasons, if you want to be in charge of your freedom, whatever that is to you, then you've got to get on track and improve and measure each time you're doing another remodel.
Absolutely. You want to measure what matters.
Oh, I like that.
That's it's a book.
Oh.
Measure what matters. By I think it's John Doerr, Doerr. Yeah. In that book, he discussed about OKRs, how he helped Google, some other companies grow based on objectives and key results.
Yeah. So
Yes.
he knows how to grow too, Google. So let's just do a quick recap. We're talking about measuring what matters. We're talking about after your rehab is complete, you're rented, you've sold it. Now, how can I take a step back and look at what went well, what didn't go well, and then how to fix those things, how to create improvements so it's duplicated to the next property with the good things continuing and the problems solutions. And lastly, we talked about those KPRs and those OKRs, which
KPIs.
I knew I was going to mess that up. The KPIs and the OKRs, and even as complicated as that might be for some of us, dumbing it down to keep it simple and starting to make small changes that will improve over time. And lastly, just being serious about this, being committed to remodel in a simpler way. And there's a lot of pieces to this puzzle, but we've given so much of them to you. When you follow them and put them into place, your remodel will go a lot smoother and with less stress.
Yes. And once you start implementing these metrics, it might seem complicated at first,
Mhm.
but remodeling is complicated. It's a complicated process, and you are going to see the results. You're going to start having fun with it.
Yeah,
It's
I
going to be a
agree.
blast.
I agree.
That's it.
So we want to remind you that we have a free REI remodel checklist for you. The link is in the description. All you've got to do is click it and it's yours. But this is the end of our 20 days live flip, don't flop, how to maximize profit in your investment property.
Yes, that's good.
That was a lot to
That's good.
swallow. So we're just so glad you stayed. Go back and watch. You can comment on any of the previous videos. And even today, if you have any questions or comments, leave them there. We will continue to respond to them. But for now, if you want to see more of us, we're on Instagram and Facebook at REI Remodel. And there's just more good stuff to come. So subscribe and click that notification bell. But that's it for tonight. So I'm Ashton.
And I'm DC.
And we thank you and we encourage you to remodel simple.
Yes, we do.